Hello, it is Facebook Live Wednesday, and I want you to listen to this song. Does it sound familiar? 1976. Kung Fu Fighting by the Gibbs Brothers, and you just feel like literally fighting and kicking and not feeling very loving, right? So, oh, hi, Susan. Stacy, thanks for watching. So this is a very kind of uncomfortable topic because how do we love our children when in our eyes they make poor choices or they act out and you just don't feel like you love them? I used to feel tremendous guilt. I would tell my therapist, why do I feel embarrassed for sometimes feeling like it's a strong dislike, borderline hatred, because when you feel like a failure or when your mood, is your mood dictated by your child's behavior? So when your child is happy, cooperative, just effortlessly flowing through life, you think, you know what? I love being a parent. And then there are days where they push your buttons, where they just make decisions that you know they shouldn't, and you just feel like, why are they not listening to me? Right? Their life would be so much easier if they just listened. And you don't understand why they make those choices. Well, I've been doing research in this particular area because it affects me personally. And I used to feel dread coming home, not knowing what kind of mood my younger daughter was going to be in. If she was in a good mood and did not feel, hey, Queena, if she did not feel like cooperating or felt, grumpy, she was on her period, if she just felt she didn't want to be nice, let's just say, or things didn't go her way, and they're ranting and raving, and you have a 15-year-old in your eyes acting like a 3-year-old because they just didn't get their way. Then I realized years later, she's 18 now, so I reflect back when she was 15. I just want to share this tiny story that shows how my emotions went from loving her to, oh my gosh, Thomas, what are we going to do? She wanted to go to the AP, the advanced placement. It's like honors classes, right? And we knew, given her sophomore year, nearly failing and experiencing so much anxiety that it paralyzed her, causing her not to do a lot of assignments, that we weren't going to give approval for her to take AP classes. So the AP fair was, say, like at 6 p.m. that night, and she wanted to go. She demanded to go. She said, I'm going to, work hard. And we pointed out that given the previous sophomore year, she was missing a lot of assignments. She was having a hard time with regular classes, and she lost it. Once 6 o'clock came and we weren't going to go, we literally witnessed her transforming into a toddler, ranting, screaming. I actually videotaped her to show her therapist because we did not know how to handle such obstinate behavior where you feel literally lost. You have no idea how to respond. So whether you have a 3-year-old or you have a strong-willed 19-year-old, right? You're a parent. And we have to see our kids. Just look at this little analogy. They are seeds in a packet that has no label. So we have no idea when they'll bloom. We have no idea what kind of seeds they are. But as a parent, we signed up to nurture that environment, right? To help them pull the weeds out and literally show them unconditional love. But how do we do that when they disappoint us, when we feel like we're failing? Because if they don't, in our eyes, make the right choices, and sometimes that choice is to practice time management. Sometimes the choice is maybe in your eyes, they should do the extra credit or they should study for an exam instead of, watching Netflix or watching YouTube videos. They should be more responsible. I have a lot of parents asking me, how can I get my child to be accountable, to be responsible, so I don't have to constantly nag and let them know that they are making poor choices all the time, right? How can I get my kids to ever listen? Will they ever listen? Will they ever stop forgetting to bring whatever they need to bring to school? Or will they ever stop, letting their phone die or their laptop die right when distance learning is taking place? So today's Facebook Live addresses 5 ways, and I have a little note thing so I make sure I don't go off task. So the 5 ways, right? As a parent, and I want you to remember how you felt as a child. I know a lot of you grew up with parents who were supportive, who are not critical, who made you feel loved unconditionally, no matter what. And then others, I was just talking to my daughter Sabrina, how my dad raised me. And sometimes I felt unconditionally loved, but other times I felt that I would be loved more if I did the right thing, if I earned my A's, if I, excelled in academics. And so how do we show our children, right, our child to feel accepted, loved, and valued? Because if we don't make them feel valued and loved, they grow up to be adults with low self-esteem, with that feeling that they're not competent, and they never will be. They feel like they won't meet their boss's expectations, or they won't meet their spouse's expectations. And that feeling of feeling insecure is something that we can nurture, that we can have them feel. It's such a safe feeling. I was talking to Sabrina, and she goes, Mom, it's such a secure feeling knowing that I can share anything with you without being judged. Is that easy to do? No, because our brain as a parent is constantly evaluating our child's choices and even things that they share, right? There's things that my girls have, shared and showed me where I think, okay, let's take a deep breath, practice non-judgment. Have I failed? Many, many times. And you'll know when you failed, because your kids will show you. They will rant and rave. They'll roll their eyes and they'll feel like, I can't. That's why I can't tell you anything, because you just don't understand. When you hear those words, you just don't understand. And they're filled with frustration and anger. Guess what? That's a sign that you are practicing conditional love. And I think I'm guilty of that, because it's human nature, right? So what are the 5 things? Number 1, accept the feelings without judging or condoning the behavior, right? You're not condoning the behavior. If they're having a temper tantrum, you're not condoning it, but you are being empathetic. I get why you're so upset, because you can't go to whatever it is. Sabrina lost it when she was a junior in high school, and she wanted to go to a Halloween event, one of those ghosts that was at the plantations in Hawaii. And we said no, because we don't know the boy that she wanted to go with. And we said, we need to meet him. And she said, but he wants to go like in the next 2 hours. I'm like, sorry, no. And she said, this is not fair. And we said, I'm sorry. I know it's so frustrating. It feels like the end of the world. She said, you don't understand. So we waited till the following weekend, and then we met the boy, his parents, and in retrospect, she understood, but she said, yeah, at the time she did not understand, and she felt like it was so unfair. And that's when your child is yelling and screaming and making you feel that you're not doing a good job as a parent, that you have to remind yourself, you are doing the best job despite your child disagreeing with you. My dad did not like feeling if our children were upset, right? If my children were upset, like we went on a date every Wednesday night, and he said, if Sabrina is doesn't want to be here and she's crying for you, I don't think you should go. And I said, well, I call it parent line. Hawaii has a parent line, and I would call them all the time. And they said, the mom and dad have to go out despite your child having a tantrum, because they need to know that mom and dad have a separate life from you. So I told my dad, so Daddy, I'm listening to these parent experts. And he's like, okay, but I just want to let you know that I don't like when she's mad. And I said, I know. None of us likes our children or grandchildren sad or upset based on our actions. But is your role to make your child happy? No. Our role is to nurture and take care of that environment, that garden, because remember, they're the seeds that we got into this mystery, those like mystery bags, and you have no idea what gifts are in store. That's our child. So, right, accept their feelings, but don't condone the behavior. That's number one. Number two, this is a good one. See their faults in their point of view. So from their point of view, so sometimes, like I always think, is she ever going to remember to bring what she needs to work or to school? And my mom used to tell me, are you ever going to know how to look for stuff? You never look good. When you have a house, you're probably never going to find stuff. And that thought, that opinion of hers, even though it was said out of anger, it stuck to me. And I still have this huge thing, incompetence, when I lose things. And I might cry because I can't find it. I was about to do an interview, and I couldn't find my dad's death certificate. And Thomas said, let it go. And I said, no. And I said, this is what makes me feel really incompetent, when I can't find a lost item. So lately, when Chelsea loses something, I say, you know what? Oh my gosh. Do you know where my, favorite pair of jeans are? No, I don't. And before I would rush around, help her find it. And now I say, you know what? I'm sorry. I don't know where it is. Gosh, I know it makes you really sad not knowing where it is, especially when you want to take your earbuds to work, or you want to take your favorite water bottle. It's taken me a long time. Hey, Hamid. Wow, watching from Texas. Thank you. I met Hamid in Paris when Thomas and I were celebrating my 40th birthday a long time ago, 16 years ago to be exact. But anyway, so it's hard, right? It's hard not to make your kids' problems your problems. You are not there to fix their problems. You are not there to make life easier for them. And I'm guilty of doing that. So the other one this is a good one, grieve. How do we grieve? Well, say you are, I'm all about academics, right? And when I saw my children go through their phases where they didn't want to do the extra credit, or they went through their own journey and academics wasn't important, right? Or they decided to procrastinate. They decided not to practice the strategies that I taught to make their academic journey easier. I felt like, why are they not doing this? I mean, it's important to me, but guess what? Just because it's important to you does not mean it's important to them. And we cannot make our priorities their priorities. So what do? Say you are your whole thing is soccer, right? And your child just doesn't want to play soccer, hates soccer, doesn't want to even touch a soccer ball. But you are just such a strong soccer player that you want to pass this on to your child. I noticed that gymnasts, if you're a coach, you want your child to enroll in gymnastics, right? If hula is your passion, you want your child to follow your interests. And it's hard, right? It is so hard. I noticed the parents who earn straight A's very effortlessly, and their grades are so important. If their children do not share that same passion for grades and learning, how do you grieve about that? Because academics for a lot of us is so important. And I have recently learned to appreciate, I always say, you know what, college is important to a lot of people. Education is important, but I say, look at your dad, you know, and not to diminish his journey, but to be a sales engineer without going to college, to do all that he's done without going to college. He decided to choose a different route, you know, and there's more than one way to achieve success. And so I know a lot of people in my life who are grandmas who were self-educated. I had someone yesterday who said, wait, George Washington only it says only went to grade school, right? Elementary school. And he goes, that means George Washington was stupid. How could he lead our country if he was stupid? So we talked about it yesterday, right? How we can be educated without, I mean, it is difficult, more difficult probably, but there's real life knowledge in the real world where you can be a college dropout, you can be even a high school dropout, right? Not recommended, but when we force it upon our kids, they tend to rebel. You ever notice that? And then when you let go, which is why I was inspired to write Mama's Gotta Let Go, how to let go without losing your sanity, because I lost my sanity multiple times when I didn't let go. And then once I let go, I was shocked, pleasantly surprised that Chelsea ended up turning around and decided to do her work when she did not do a whole quarter's worth of work. Yes, the entire third quarter of geometry, 0 assignments done. And I did my, you know, we are going to do this. And we spent, I've talked about this, we spent 5 consecutive hours doing her IXL, this math program, hired a tutor. And she just said, you know, Mom, I don't want to do this. I said, oh, but you're doing this. And then we'd be like, are you done yet? Are we done yet? Can I be done? No, because I'm teaching you perseverance. I'm teaching you, you know, like you're to be accountable and to be responsible. And she would say, but you told me that if I was fine not doing it, then you would be fine and that you wouldn't judge me, right, and define me by my grades. Yes, I did say that. But, and I had a hard time. I mean, you know, when you see an F on your report card or about to be on your report card, and you know if you finish your assignments, you can at least bring that up to a C. Well, the F was on the report card. And I was shocked that by graduation, she actually graduated cum laude. She graduated with honors with an F on her report card, but it's because of how, you know, Milani High School actually averages the semester grades, right? So if you did fine, you failed first quarter, but you got, I don't know, a B second quarter. And anyway, but the whole thing is that I defined her worth. Obviously you don't. Yeah, it was hard. I thought, you know what, how can I do this? So this is where I feel, and I own it, I feel like I'm a hypocrite. I'm telling these tips, but you know, this is the harsh lesson I learned when she was a sophomore in high school. So as I work with these parents, and they just go, you know, you just have to embrace that F. And they're like, no, I'm not embracing that F. My child's goal is to get straight A's. Not a 90, because that's too close to a B. They need to get straight A's or else. And these kids they feel so incompetent. You know, I say, wow, you got an 88? Yeah, but it's not good enough. My mom wants me to get straight A's. And I tried so hard, and I feel like a failure. I'm like, but you got an 88. It doesn't matter. I need to get straight A's or my mom will see it as a failure. You just don't understand. And that's tough to hear, right? Their phone gets taken away if they don't get any grade higher than at least a B or higher. If they fail an exam, if they just do something that their parents feel is just not acceptable, then it's like a cruel punishment in their eyes, right? And then recently, during the pandemic, I've experienced parents practicing a little bit more patience. They're more forgiving, and they're realizing it's tough. Education during the pandemic, distance learning is tough. I'm witnessing teachers being more lenient, and more, just more empathetic, which rarely is done, because normally, it's like if you get an F, that's it. And I've had kids cry and email their teachers, can I please take the test over again? Can I please get extra credit? But the main idea that this Facebook Live is about is just loving your kids no matter what. And the tough thing is, what if, to me, if your child chooses crime, if your child ends up taking drugs, if your child gets busted for drinking alcohol on campus? I had someone who chose to smoke weed on campus and got caught. And he had to, the grandmother was livid. And the grandfather said, you know what? Like, no one's ever done that. Why are you being so harsh? And I thought, wow. So I had separate conversations with a grandma who was so embarrassed and so angry. And then the grandpa told me, you know what? Oh my gosh, Kareen. It's the grandma of the 4-year-old that I tutor. Yes, some grandmas and and parents are like, you know what? You need to do this or what? And your child just, when you see, when I see my students cry because they feel like they're not good enough, it hurts me, because I'm in the middle, right? I'm there to educate. I'm there to make sure that, they increase their potential. But now I'm realizing that my goal is also to increase their self-esteem, which does not happen when they're criticized, when they're forced to feel like they're incompetent. It's a tough one, because you know what? I do it. And then I realize what I'm doing. I've learned to own it. I've learned to apologize, because my girls are reminding me, Mom, aren't you supposed to let go? And I tell them it's in progress, because as a mom, as a grandma, it's in our DNA. And we show that we care in ways that will actually rip our children's self-esteem and our grandchildren's self-esteem. So after you grieve, you know what? They might not be exactly the way that I picture them to be, but I'm going to love them exactly the way they are. And then you let go of this ideal, this idealistic vision that you had, right? Which is hard. Hey, Vanessa. Oh my gosh, thanks for watching. Manage your anger is the 4th one. How do you manage your anger? I've done parenting tips on this. You literally have to walk away. When I see parents and grandparents lose it, I just remind them, okay, bye grandma, bye grandpa, bye mom. We just are going to do this without you in the room. And as soon as they walk away, you actually see the child. It's almost a sign of relief. I said, you know what? And I always tell them, make your mistakes with me. I do not judge. I do not give grades, because I had a 5-year-old. Is it hard? He had a hard time understanding greater than or less than. And he's like scared to give me the wrong answer. And I said, is it hard? He goes, a little bit. And I said, you know what? And it's okay. It's okay if you're wrong, if you don't know it. And he goes, really? I go, yeah. Make your mistakes with me. And he goes, okay. 3 is greater than 5. And I said, you know what? Do you understand what greater means? And he's like, no. I go, well, that's why it's hard. But when we empathize, their eyes light up, because they feel like, okay, I'm not incompetent for not knowing this, right? You have a junior in high school who forgets long division, and they feel really like, oh my gosh, I don't know, Miss Karen, I feel like really stupid. No, they're just human, right? They're not expected to be perfect, but I think sometimes in our eyes, we do expect certain actions from them, right? We want them to be responsible. We want them to be resilient. We want them to be respectful. And when that doesn't happen, we get pissed off. especially if things aren't happening according to our time frame, right? And according to our expectations. So managing anger will have an impact on whether your child's, grandchild's self-esteem is lifted or if it's crushed. Just imagine shattering your child's or grandchild's self-esteem, literally shattering it to the point where they don't believe in themselves. They really believe that they're incompetent, and they tell me stuff like, I'm never good at math. Yeah, my mom says I'm just never going to get it. I'm just really bad at numbers. And so I tell them, don't listen to what your brain is telling you. And your mom or dad probably just said that out of frustration, but you know what? You might not feel like your strength is math, but we can get you to do math. Really? Yeah. So I teach them, and they're like, oh my gosh. And I always tell them, like a kindergartner, I'll give them like a second grade problem. And when they get it, and their eyes light up, and they start believing in themselves, that's when I know, you know what? Maybe I'm making a difference. But as a parent and a grandparent, your only role is to nurture, to love, and to accept. And if they are giving you a hard time, that's a sign. The minute your anger starts boiling, it's a sign of unrealistic expectations. I just read that quote and did a parenting tip on that. Really listen to those words. Anger is a sign of unrealistic expectations. Of course, in our eyes, it's like, of course I have to expect this. Otherwise, I'm not going to be a responsible, right, parent or grandparent, because I'm going to make sure that my child or grandchild does and whatever you expect, right? And the last one is recognize your role and allow them. This is a hard one, right? Recognize the role in your child's life or your grandchild's life and let them navigate their own journey. That's a tough one, because when they're at a crossroads and you know that they should, choose path A, but they choose B, and you think, don't go there, don't go there, and they say, you know what, I'm gonna go there. Or they lie. Yeah, I'm gonna go to path A, but then they choose path B and they lie about it. Then you find out about it. That was my trigger, lying to me. It could be something so small, like, I made my bed, and then you go up there and they lied. To me, I always told them, just tell me the truth. Even if you committed a crime, I would say, even if you like murdered someone, and they would look at me because they were little. And I said, I know you're not going to murder someone, but what's important to me is telling me the truth. And, I promise you that's my thing. Tell me the truth and you're going to be in less trouble. And then you have to really practice that, right? Sorry, I lied. What I really did was, and that's when you take a deep breath. Okay, you, cheated on a spelling test, but they told you, right? And this is where Sabrina said, Mom, and she'll tell me within 12 hours, I lied. And it's such a menial thing that she lied about, but I think I just instilled that. You do not lie. My parents instilled, you keep promises no matter what. If you break a promise, that's like an unforgivable action. And my mom would always say, I'll know if you lie. If you lie, mommy will always know. And then, as a teenager, you tell a little lie and they don't find out. You tell another little lie. But I grew up really knowing that lies are really bad, and just promises are not to be broken. So those are my 5 tips, right? Accept feelings without condoning the behavior. Number 2, see their faults from their point of view, because we are always going to see our way as the right way, right? But put yourself in their shoes. Maybe there was a reason why they cheated on their spelling tests, because they knew that if they failed, they'd be in big trouble, right? We only do things, what would you say? You would make bad choices to save yourself, right? And that's why you lie, because you don't want to get in trouble. Simply as that, right? So if they feel more comfortable and they're raised in a safe environment. I notice a lot of parents who grew up in a very abusive household, their goal is to really nurture their kids in a safe environment because they want their kids to come to them rather than going to someone else. Number 3, grieve, right? To let go. Number 4, manage your anger, a hard one. And number 5, appreciate your child's weakness. Maybe your child's weakness is forgetting stuff. Well, there's going to be a time you have to trust that in their journey to adulthood that they will figure it out. You know, your child they'll Chelsea forgot her water bottle. So she texts us, Mom, I forgot my water bottle. You know, I'm thinking, you're at times, right? She can spend money and buy water, right? So let them problem solve and let them figure it out. Not easy to do, but I encourage you to really practice unconditional love and love your child no matter what, or even if. Even if is a hard one. I have a parent whose child is, oh my gosh, Alyssa, thanks for watching. I have a parent whose child is in prison, and that was a tough one because I tutored him when he was 11. I had 2 students when I tutored, I taught at Kahimuhala, a psychiatric hospital, and 2 of them ended up as Hawaii's top 10 most wanted. And I thought, what did I do, right? You immediately blame yourself. Do not define your value as a parent based on your child or grandchild's actions. It's almost like their grades don't define them. Well, their actions, their choices do not define your, value as a parent. We are doing the best job as we can. And there are people who make some poor choices and they end up super successful, right? The child who took drugs becomes a successful drug abuse counselor, right? The child who almost committed suicide becomes a suicide prevention or chooses to be a mental health professional. So we really don't know our child's journey, and it's really hard not to judge it, but that's what I invite you to do. So I surpassed my my 20-minute time frame for this, but this is something that I'm really passionate about, to love, accept, and value our kids and make them really feel it. Because if they don't feel valued, it's really a hard way to live, right? We all know that when we feel just incompetent and we don't feel like we're worthy, guess what? We're going to find that value through either a girlfriend, a boyfriend, outside of ourselves. So we have the power to build our child's self-esteem, which can make them really feel resilient. And that's my Facebook Live Wednesday today, okay? Thanks for watching. Sorry that it's so long. Bye.